What is up, nerd friends? Welcome back to the Nerd Bench. In this episode, we're going to talk about 5 things that you may want to know about speed control tuning. First up is calibration. And I know I've talked about this before, so I'll make it brief, but calibration is the part where the speed control learns the throttle channel's output, the neutral, the throttle, and the brake or the reverse output, depending on what kind of speed control you have. And it has to be done at least the first time you put it in, and if you change the radio or do anything with your throttle settings, you should recalibrate it. You can't really ever over-calibrate a speed control, so if there's a problem, first thing you should do is kind of recalibrate for the most part. You're probably familiar with the Hobbywing calibration. If not, there's a link in the description down below, but it beeps once for neutral, twice for throttle, and 3 times for brake/reverse. If you don't get all of those beeps, that means it didn't complete the process and it hasn't been calibrated. So that would be maybe what I would call a calibration problem, and it can be related to something as simple as the brakes being turned on in the radio. Most commonly, either the brakes get turned on in the radio on accident, trim gets shifted way around so there's not a bunch of brake travel, but it either won't start the calibration process because your neutral's not zeroed out, or it won't finish the calibration process because either the throttle or the brakes has been reduced in the radio. The travel's been turned down. So just make sure all that stuff is set to 100 and your trims are set to 0. I've had people set their travel to 0 and that won't work either. So definitely don't do that. You want your travels at 100% when you start the calibration for the brake and the throttle. Item number 2 is, what do you need to tune? Now there's going to be a couple different groups of people who are tuning on their speed controls. Spec racers, modified racers, and my favorite, like myself, non-racers. In spec racing, you generally have to have your turbo, your boost, and your softening values all set to 0, and that makes the speed control go into what's commonly called blinky mode. And blinky mode for spec class racing very simply means 0 electronic timing advance from the speed control, or in the case of softening, taking away timing. Blinky class racing does not equalize the speed. It just means no electronic timing, and it's something that's used in a lot of racing categories for their stock and spec classes to simplify things on the racers and take away some of the high-end tuning of timing, boost, turbo, all that fun stuff. And then whether you're a spec racer or a modified racer, I guess the biggest areas you're going to be changing settings is your throttle and brake frequency, as well as your throttle and brake rates. So I'll give you a general starting point, and it's going to be different for everybody. It's always different for track conditions, but generally speaking, for spec class racers, 17.5, 13.5, stuff like that, your throttle rate and your brake rate are going to be pretty high. Most of the time, all the way up for the most part, because you have plenty of traction for spec class racing. Frequencies are going to be pretty low so that you get some response, 1K, 2K, 3K type of thing. And if you get into the variable frequencies, you're probably going to be starting around 2K, ending at around maybe 10, 12, 14K, depending on the situation for the drive frequency. Brake frequency is very much the same, kind of low brake frequencies as well. These motors don't respond super well, so the lower brake frequencies kind of help with that. In modified, the brake frequencies are going to be a little bit higher, probably 12, 14, maybe 16K, and very much along those same lines for the driver, the throttle frequency as well. They're going to be quite a bit higher. Motors are faster, so the brakes are more responsive, the throttle's more responsive, and you can run a little bit higher frequencies to smooth that out. And then on the throttle rate, a lot of the guys run in the mid-20s. Sometimes they get in the high teens. And on the brake side, it's kind of the same deal. You get a little bit lower. The cars are going a lot faster. The motors respond a little bit quicker. So you can tone that all down with the throttle and the brake rates. Something I should mention in those frequencies, basically frequencies, the higher the frequency is, the smoother the response is going to be. The lower the frequency is, the more aggressive it's going to be. So just to keep that in mind for general tuning, that is kind of always the case with throttle and brake frequencies. Or I've been saying drive and throttle. I mean, that's the same thing. Throttle and drive are the same. And for us non-racers that are out there, our speed controls may not have all these fancy settings, but they always have a punch setting, QuicRun and Max Series. And for me, if I have very good batteries, everything's kind of set up right, and I know that my plugs are good, crank the punch up. The punch is much like the throttle rate in the racing speed controls, and the higher that is, if you crank it all the way up, it's going to try to do exactly what your throttle inputs do. It's going to be very linear. If you lower that, it kind of puts a tape delay or a time delay on the throttle inputs. So if you want to get rid of that RTR feel, you crank that punch rate all the way up, and usually that makes it drive quite a bit better. I mean, that's the way I feel. Item number 3, the speed controls have all started to come with a smart fan circuit, and that means that the Speed control only runs the fan that's on it when it feels like it needs it. Smart fan technology is a circuit inside the speed control that's got a temp sensor, and when the speed control gets up to a certain temperature, it kicks the fan on. So should you run that or not? It kind of depends on your conditions. I usually run smart fan enabled. I turn the car on, fan burps on for just a moment, shuts right back off, and then I can drive it. And if it's like a cool day or we're not running very hard, I can pull back in and the fan won't even be running. But if we run it a little bit harder, I'll notice that the fan's running. And sometimes when we're sitting around, you'll actually be cleaning up the car, taking the body off, and you'll hear the fan shut down after the run. So it's a good kind of audio indicator of how hot the speed control gets. Because if I know that my fan shuts off while I'm, just taking the body off and doing the cleanup after the run, that's not very hot. If it stays on that whole time, it's a little bit hotter. I know that's a pretty simple way to look at it, but it does work. And it's real annoying when we're sitting around and fans are running. So it helps a little bit with the fan life. But for the most part, racers and folks that run in hot conditions or anything, turn the smart fan off so that the fan runs all the time. And it's just going to keep the speed control a little bit cooler. It stays ahead of the curve on the cooling. It doesn't wait for it to warm up before it needs the fan. And it's one of those deals that a little is good, a lot is better when it comes to airflow. Item number 4, brake power. And this has to do with a combination of things. A lot of times you can turn your brakes down in your radio and that'll lower the brake power, obviously. But most of the speed controls in the lineup have a brake power setting, and that's not just for turning the power down on radios that don't have a brake travel adjustment. It's so that you can leave the brakes on the radio closer to 100%. And the reason you would want to do that is for resolution. The more travel you have out of the brake channel, the smaller the steps are going to be when you apply the brakes, so you have a finer brake feel through all of that. So when you make smaller adjustments, they're going to be more accurate to what's going on. So turning the brake power down in the speed control allows you to leave that closer to 100 because you're still going to use your brake travel adjustment in your radio to fine tune the overall power, but you can get closer to where you need to be with the brake power adjustment in the speed control. Why not just brake less? In the heat of the moment, when you get intense driving, sometimes it's easier to just mash brakes everywhere and not think about it. And for me, that works really well. The tracks that we run at are pretty loose, so we can just run kind of max brakes, slap, slap, slap brakes everywhere. Works pretty good, and is one less thing to think about while you're driving, so to speak. So brake power is one to think about doing some adjustments with. If you're a person that turns your travel down on your brakes a lot in your radio, you're losing a little resolution, this would work a little bit better than that. And number 5, Lipo settings. The speed controls all default to auto Lipo. Auto Lipo is very safe. It will most likely, for most people, cut off before the battery is fully discharged, and that's on purpose. It's for safety. If you don't know the setups right for the battery, if you don't know the gearings right, if it's fresh install, the worst thing you can have happen is you go out and run it and it goes too long, it over discharges your battery and you ruined your battery, or you've at least hurt it. If you take a Lipo battery, close or lower than cutoff, you can a lot of times bring them back, but they're already kind of wounded, so to speak. So auto Lipo mode is super safe, and for a lot of people will cut off well before the battery is actually dead. Lipo cutoff is an adjustable setting for a number of reasons. You can set a pack voltage, and some of the speed controls it's high, medium, low. And the reason it's adjustable because the battery packs and the conditions, even the plugs, are all going to affect how the speed control actually sees the voltage from the battery pack. So we've got this adjustment to allow you to fine tune that for the overall package. And for the most part, I'd say 85 to 95% of us, the numbers are pretty close. The voltage that we set to is pretty accurate, but there are situations where it's not going to match up, and that has to do with the health of the battery pack, the temperatures that you're running in, the quality of the connections, and a lot of other topics that make the voltage that the speed control sees different than what you see when you check the battery pack after you've unplugged it from the speed control. Battery gets out of load, the voltage starts to rise. There's a bunch of different factors that come in, but that's the reason that it's adjustable. So you can fine tune how much runtime you get out of your battery or how hard you are on your batteries. For some of us, we need maximum runtime, so we're not too worried about the health of the battery. And a lot of racers actually disable their Lipo protection completely because they know they're never going to run their car in a practice session or whatever for more than 5 or 7 minutes at a time because they're not able to because of whatever rules and whatnot, or practice sessions or however the track works. But for other folks, guys like myself, we'll go out and run a battery pack till the Lipo cutoff kicks in. And for me, I run it a little bit higher for safety. I don't want to continually be taking my battery packs down to the minimum voltage. It's not great for them. They get a little puffier, they get a little hotter when you do that. So to leave a couple extra 100 milliamps in the battery pack helps with the life of the battery pack over time. And when you're talking, you're running this battery pack dozens and dozens of time, a little bit does help. And I'll sacrifice a couple laps out of, with our slashes, we're getting 20, 25 minute run time. So a little bit higher helps keep the battery pack in good condition. So on most of the racing speed controls, they also default to auto. And when you set your cutoff voltage, keep this in mind, it's the total pack voltage. So if you're running a 2-cell Lipo and you want it to cut off at, let's say 3.5 volts per cell, you're not gonna set the speed control to 3.5. You're gonna set it to 7 volts. Because the speed control can't see individual cells. It can only see the pack. So you just put in the pack voltage that you want it to stop at. Well, I hope you found that helpful. Maybe some common topics that get overlooked often. I know I still answer these questions on a pretty regular basis on the service lines. So try to get that information out to the world so you can find it in the middle of the night when you're out there YouTubing. Do you have questions, comments, or concerns? You can email us directly, northamerica@hobbywing.com. Did you know we do a podcast? We do. We give away free stuff each and every episode. All you have to do to find out how to enter to win is listen to an episode. The podcast is called RC Stuff, powered by Hobbywing. You can find it on your favorite podcast service or get it straight from the source, anchor.fm/Hobbywing. As always, folks, thanks for watching. It's The Charlie Show right here on the Hobbywing official YouTube channel. We'll see you next time.